swing back the other way. The next thing we know, we're playing trash to try to beat his trash. Welcome back, all you stocks and stacks maniacs, to another episode. It's a good one today. I say that every time, but this is a good episode. I am giving away money on this episode. We're talking about a win that moves the bankroll to an all-time new high. Plus, I'm going to tell you about a tell that, if you don't know it already, will save you thousands of dollars throughout your career playing poker. And this chart that we talked about 3 weeks ago just made a very critical move, and it's changing what I'm doing moving forward. I'm going to tell you about all those things. Let's get started. Let's start today's show by talking about the tell that's going to save you thousands of dollars throughout your career. We're playing some 1-3 with a $6 straddle, and I'm playing with probably 4 players that are fairly competent, play a lot, that I know their game, and I know that they know what they're doing. We also have some people at the table that maybe poker is not something they do a lot of studying with, not a lot of reps, not a lot of time on task at the poker table. So I'm feeling like I want to really focus on these guys and play some hands. Now let me give you some background on the key villain in this, because this is pretty important. So the opponent in a previous hand had pocket queens. Her opponent had pocket jacks. He was the pre-flop aggressor. She just called. Flop is jack 3 deuce, bet call. Turn 10, bet call. River queen, bet call. So to give you an idea of how snug this opponent is, she decided not to raise on the river when she had top set, where the only hand that's really beating her is a backdoor straight that would have had to bluff out of position on multiple streets. Not saying it can't happen, but very unlikely given the action up to this point. So now you know a little bit about the opponent. We get involved in this hand. I raise to 25, so it's 1-3-6. I make it 25 with pocket kings under the gun. Folds around to her. She is the small blind and raises to $100, leaving about $320 behind in her stack. I cover. I've got about 1K at this point. Now, I thought about this for a minute and thought, there's a chance I might need a fold here. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but a player that didn't 3-bet queens when she had the opportunity in a previous hand is now 3-betting me when I'm the under-the-gun raiser and she's out of position. So I truly debated just folding here. And I know that sounds crazy. You're never folding kings pre-flop, but it went through my head. And I'm not convinced that my call pre-flop is correct. Now, I know that sounds nuts, but if I don't think this player is going to 3-bet with queens, they're probably not 3-betting with ace-king. I'm blocking kings, so aces are the most likely hand that she holds. And if she holds aces, what am I doing here? It doesn't make any sense. I don't want to be making that call. Anyway, it's pocket kings. I think about it. I truly debate folding, but then I'm in position. I've got pocket kings. I just can't let it go. We go to the flop. The flop is 9-4 deuce. 2 diamonds. Now I'm going to show you what she did, because this is critical. I'm all in. Now, I don't know if you caught that, but you'll see this all the time, especially from newer players. And it comes down to psychology. So let's talk about that for a second, then we'll talk about the rest of this hand. So the psychology, when you have a monster and you haven't thought about the psychology, you haven't thought about deception, you haven't thought about what your natural response will be, is to try to set a trap, right? So your natural instinct is to hide what's really going on and then give something different as base level deception. Basically, what you're going to try to do is make them feel like, it's probably okay. It's not dangerous. This is not a moment you need to be concerned. And so what do? We end up acting as though this is a difficult decision. Now, no opponent who is snug or has a difficult decision is going to think for a while and then jam 1.5x out of position into a pre-flop raiser, right? So this really just comes down to, what is she feeling in this moment? And what she's feeling is, I've got a monster. I want all the money in there. I want a chance to get a call. I think he probably has a big hand because he called me pre-flop. So now I just need to act as though this is maybe a tough decision so that he can think to himself, she looked a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe my hand is good. We'll go through it one more time. Gets to her, looks at the flop, pauses, and then shoves all in. Okay, so now it's on me. So now my thought is really, can I just get her to confirm that these are aces? And I think I can. even if she doesn't turn the cards up, I want to see if I can like read the body language and just confirm for future hands. Just make sure. So here's what I do. I said, all right, I think I have to fold a monster. If I show you a monster, will you show me aces? To which she goes, kind of this relenting smile like, all right, you got me. I fold the king's face up. She turns up the bullets. And we're going full Keanu Reeves from The Matrix here. With that tell covered, let's talk about the most recent session, how it puts us at a new all-time high. And that means a giveaway's coming. We'll talk about that as well. Let's go! The session goes well. We still end up making a lot of money on it. So 738 is the total that we walk away with. That brings us to a new all-time high. Our previous high was $2,200. We're now at $2,623. So we have bumped up to a new level with a $400 difference. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting in $200 to the investment account. We'll get into the investment account in a little bit, but let's finish just talking through the stats as of right now. You know that our hourly before was about the $70 range. We had gone way above, way below, all that stuff. Well, we end up back around $84. So we're again a little bit on the high side for what we expect. But $84 an hour, we're not upset about that since this challenge started. And again, we're going to see fluctuations, still expecting it to level out somewhere around $70, but very happy that we're on the positive variance side, earning more than expectation. That is always okay with me, always a good thing. Now, as you can see, here is the trend for the year so far. Just kind of doing what we expect. We're going to have some ups and some downs. You hope that the downs overall are smaller than the ups and that you're just making progress steadily towards a new all-time high. So 2 critical things from that win. First of all, our trend goes to a new all-time high and we get to invest $200 into the investment account. And number 2, you guys are getting paid. If you're not familiar, I run a Patreon on this channel, and what I do is every time there is a winning session, I'm going to draw names from the Patreon supporters, and I'm going to split that win amongst a couple of winners. We've got $74 that's being divided up, and I'm going to choose 2 winners that's going to. It's going to these 2 Patreon supporters. Thank you for supporting the channel. Enjoy your win. If you like money and like getting paid whenever someone on YouTube has a winning poker session, well, this is your chance. The information's in the description below. Sign up for the Patreon. It's $5 a month. And so far, we have given away all that money. If you're not in there already, what are you waiting for? Get paid. There's almost no one supporting this channel, and that means your odds of winning are really high. That means good EV, yo. All right, with that, something huge just happened in the markets, and I want to share it with you. We talked about this about 3 weeks ago. We looked at a chart. Well, this chart just did something that I was waiting for, and I'm going to share it with you right now. Let's go. This chart should look familiar. We talked about it 3 weeks ago, and it's done something very interesting. So we talked about that there is some key resistance right here. This is the QQQ, the NASDAQ chart. And what happened is we saw this big downtrend, first a big up, then a big down, then it bounces up to here, hits this key resistance that we talked about. At the time, we were down in this range, and I said, I think we're going to hit somewhere in here and reject and go lower, possibly breaking this parallel channel. And if it breaks the parallel channel, that's going to be huge. If not, if it busts through, then this could be a big bull sign and a market that's going up significantly still, despite all this bad news. We get a pivot top twice here on this, boom, boom, and then look what it does. It not only breaks this point, this is one day, it breaks through it in one day, but then it gaps lower the next day. That's a pretty bearish sign, right? It takes this big gap down. This is currently Friday. It's in the afternoon. We got about an hour and a half left till markets close, and we're seeing that things went from positive to start the day down to a negative position so far. So we are actually losing on those charts right now, which means that it's going the way we expect it to. So we are seeing a very bearish sentiment all of a sudden, and I think we're going lower. So this is now again, none of this is financial advice. I'm not the person that should tell you that, but let's go ahead and remove some of these lines here. I've now taken a short position again, and so we're going to try to short these markets. We're seeing that we're going from a higher high. What we were doing is we were hitting higher highs and higher lows on the way up here, and now right at this point we've basically turned, and now we're seeing this trend instead. We're seeing lower highs and lower lows happening. So that is again a bearish sign, and I think what we're going to see is that these markets have a long ways to fall before they correct. Until something changes, I'm going to get short and I'm going to hold until we see a new trend developing. I want to talk about one more stock, and it's the one we talked about last week, UPS. Guys, I done messed up. So here's what happened on this stock. I want to talk about it because I want to, just like in poker, I want to talk about my mistakes and admit them to you. And if you guys have advice, if you have thoughts, I always appreciate hearing them, whether it's poker, stocks, whatever. You guys are intelligent. I appreciate your feedback. I definitely have had such good advice from this community, and it's meant a lot to me, both in poker and in investing. So let's take a look at this chart. I want to talk to you about where I messed up on this one. And I think, again, charts are all about probabilities, right? Nothing is guaranteed. We see a chart, it just gives us an idea of what could be coming, not what is coming. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. It looked like we were going to get a bounce. Now, we did bounce. That's important. We did get a bounce here. And let me zoom in on this just a little bit. Okay, so we did get a bounce on this, but what happened here is that the markets kind of rolled over altogether. And so we got this bounce move, bought my position, had my stop position in for about this level here where it bounced off of. But when the markets rolled and everything started going back the other way, it did not hold. So I think if markets remained pretty steady, nothing too bearish happened, I think we would have seen this continue to move up. However, now that it's broken this support, I'm no longer messing with UPS. I was wrong. It didn't hold. It didn't do the things that I expected. I'm stopped out of all those positions. I'm no longer in that trade. And I lost a little bit of money. Again, minimize my losses, but I did take a loss on this one. Last time I did an update with you, we had $9,094.94 in the account. And as of today, we have $9,155.90. Now, I put $200 into the account, so you'll see that bump. And then we had some really nasty days after that. So things went down pretty significantly. Now, I've made my short position. You can see that even though today is already negative, we are pulling out a little bit of a win here. So we're seeing a little bit of positive, and that's good. I'm going to continue to add to that position as I see more confirmation that things are going lower and continue to move in that downward trend. So expect that position to change. I don't have all of my 20% into that short yet. I have about half of it. Okay, so we'll see where that goes. That wraps up the account. Thanks for being here for this one. If you haven't done it already, sign up for that Patreon. Get yourself paid, son. There's money to be made. You might as well be the one to get it, right? All right. That wraps it up for this time. Thanks for being here, and I will talk to you again next time.